Welcome to Roots and Branches of Lehi, the podcast where we get to know the faces, stories, and lives that make up our community. I'm Ryan Harding, and I started this podcast as a way for us all to connect with the people we live alongside. Growing up in a small town, I learned that connections go beyond blood. They're built through shared experiences, friendships, and the moments we celebrate together. Each week, we'll sit down with someone new from Lehi to share their unique story, their passions, and what they love most about living here. So whether you've been here for years or just arrived, join us as we deepen our roots and reach out to our branches one story at a time. Welcome, Brent Everett, to Roots and Branches of Lehi, where we get to know you a little bit better and get to hear your story. So thanks for coming on. Appreciate you coming into my office and chatting with me for a minute here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. So talk to me about, let's start way back in the beginning when Brent was born. If I remember correctly, California, right?
Yes, sir.
How long did you live in California? When did you come to Utah? Give me a little background here of yourself. So,
I hope that's not a dirty word for most of your listeners.
Yeah, California.
For local here, coming from California, I was born in what I consider an agricultural town.
Yeah.
A little bigger than this agricultural town, but Fresno, California.
Okay.
And born and raised, product of the public school system there.
Yeah.
My father was a public school teacher.
Okay.
My mom was a stay-at-home mom until the IRS Service Center split off from Ogden.
Okay.
And located a new service center in Fresno.
Okay.
And then she had a later in life career working for the IRS. And I came out to go to school at BYU, studied geology, graduated, found employment here in Utah.
And so you've been in Utah ever since BYU then?
Basically, I went home a couple summers,
Yeah.
but for the most part, ever since I graduated, I stayed here. This is where the job opportunity was. I looked all over, and this is where the opportunities were at the time.
Okay. And did your parents always stay in California? Is that?
They did. My father was originally from Salt Lake City.
Okay.
So he was born in Ogden, raised in Salt Lake City. My mom was born in Price.
Okay.
But raised in Northern California in the Bay Area.
Okay.
And they met at BYU. And my dad, the story that I was told was he wasn't super fond of snow and shoveling snow.
Sure. Yeah.
And he'd been stationed in Fresno during the war,
Yeah.
and for a short period of time. Since my mom was from Northern California, I think after they were married, they lived in Salt Lake for a period of time, and then he moved to the Bay Area to help at a boys' camp that my great uncle ran.
Oh, okay.
And then he got his teaching certificate at, I think, San Francisco State University, and then taught high school in Fresno.
Okay.
So that's how the family ended up there. So my oldest brother was born in Salt Lake.
Okay.
The rest of us call Fresno as our birthplace.
Yeah.
And yeah, parents are passed away, so I'm an orphan.
You're an orphan now.
Yeah. And I found employment here, and
Yeah.
I was the only one in Utah for a while. Now I have a brother that lives in Farmington.
Okay. Okay. And the other one's California then, or?
I have two in California, a brother in San Diego.
Okay.
And a brother in Fresno.
Okay.
And I have a sister who lives in northern Mississippi.
Oh, okay, nice. Okay, awesome. So, talk to me about geology then. What was the interest in geology? What did you pick? The study of rocks, right?
Great question. Yeah, rocks and minerals. It's a great question. I took a class my freshman year that was a physical science class. It wasn't the physical science 100 that everybody has to take.
Sure.
It was an honors class that had a heavy emphasis in geology. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Sure, yeah.
And we got to do an interesting exercise of collecting rock samples, gluing them to a microscope slide, and then grinding them down till they were paper thin, and then put them under the light. And all of the colors of the minerals were intriguing to me. The patterns of what makes up rocks on the microscopic scale was fascinating. I'd never done anything like that, never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
So that planted the seed.
Okay.
And then I went on my LDS mission to Louisiana.
Okay.
Served in a town where there were a lot of rich geologists.
Really?
That worked in the oil field.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah.
And I thought, okay, this looks like this could be a lucrative career.
Sure.
So that kind of furthered that desire. I came back to go to BYU.
Yeah.
And actually was studying zoology and physical science.
Okay.
Taking geology classes, exploring both.
Yeah.
And just ended up taking the route of the geology program and graduated with an undergrad degree, and then stayed for a master's degree because there were no jobs.
Sure. Yeah.
That call of the oil field had fallen apart in the mid 80s, late 70s, early 80s when I was going to school.
Yeah.
And so the lust of the money in Louisiana was long gone.
Yeah.
And then environmental became a big issue, and a background in geology and understanding kind of what happens under the surface of the earth for freight and transport of chemicals that leak and that you can't see serves well for that kind of a field.
So that's where you pivoted, was going into the more, so after college and stuff, pivoted to environmental stuff.
That's where the jobs started opening up.
Sure.
Because all the environmental programs started happening in I think the EPA was created in 1904.
Okay.
And so like the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, and then RCRA, Resource Conservation Recovery Act, and then CERCLA, Comprehensive Environmental Response Compensation and Liability Act, one of the programs that I work under, began in 1980.
Okay.
So those were fledgling programs at the state level when I graduated with my master's degree in 1989.
Okay.
So that's where opportunities had presented themselves, because domestic mineral production, domestic oil production had fallen off.
Yeah.
And I came from a family where, hey, you got to fend for yourself. You graduate college, you're finding a job.
You better. Yeah.
So I was looking for work.
Yeah. So before, you mentioned some of those acts. So before the EPA and different things like that, was it just on companies to do? Was there much oversight? State just let, what happened before that?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know that there was a lot that was happening. Okay. What really started the EPA, my recollection, is the Love Canal issue in New York.
Okay.
And so there was, and the burning rivers in Pennsylvania, I think it was.
Okay.
And so that's when the EPA was created, and then state programs followed after that.
Okay.
But that's a great question.
Yeah.
Was there good corporate governance regarding the environment? I would probably say no.
Yeah, probably not.
But I don't know that we understood the risks posed by things that came as a result of manufacturing.
Fair enough.
Tanneries and clothing, textiles, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Created releases of hazardous things, and I don't know that anybody really was thinking about that.
Sure.
And then as we got more educated and understood and saw problems, I think that's when environmental regulation took hold.
Okay. So talk to me about that. So you're one of the busiest guys I know. You have multiple hats that you wear. So we're going to talk about a lot of these hats. But let's start, since we're on the kind of environmental.
I've got you fooled.
That's right. So talk to me about the environmental part then. So that's, I guess, your quote unquote normal job, right? That's the bread and butter. That's what you do most of the time. So talk to me about that job. What is that job? What do you do?
Do you want a title? You want a description? You want both?
All the above. Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah. I can give you a little history of my work there. I work for the Utah Department of Environmental Quality.
Okay.
And I am the director of the Division of Environmental Response and Remediation.
Okay.
Which is one of the 5 divisions of that state department.
Okay.
And I've been doing that I've been the director for over 16 years.
Okay, so good amount of time.
Yeah. I was appointed in 2009, the end of 2009, by a previous executive director.
Okay.
Prior to that, when I was first hired on, I was hired on to be what they call an environmental scientist, which is basically a project manager over specific processes that are within the federal Superfund program.
Sure.
So Superfund's kind of an odd beast. It's not a delegated program to states, but under what's called the National Contingency Plan, states are afforded substantial and meaningful involvement.
Okay.
And Utah takes that seriously. We want Utah solutions to Utah problems.
Sure.
Which I learned early on. This is our role.
Yeah.
And so I functioned as a project manager, and then when an opportunity came for potential advancement, I applied for management positions and was fortunate to be hired, and that kept me there. And then in 2009, under a former executive director, Amanda Smith, my director was hired to be the deputy director, which gave an opportunity for me to compete for that job.
Sure.
And I was successful and was appointed to that in December of 2009.
Okay.
So it's been a while.
Yeah.
So now I can oversee the whole enterprise of the division, which is not only just Superfund, but also petroleum storage tanks and emergency response coordination. And we've got some strange things. We actually certify clandestine drug lab certification specialists.
Okay.
That's a very niche thing that we do, which allows us to partner with local health department and the state health department. And my division actually runs the instant notification process for emergencies that are reported. There's no formal reporting requirement, but we do have a hotline that people can call in spills, and we manage that for the department.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of it's like anything that you don't know belongs somewhere in the divisions of DEQ. Yeah. It probably comes to our division at some point.
Okay. And so you work then, with the state, obviously you handle the state things, but you also have oversight from the federal government then too, and sometimes?
Yes, so in CERCLA and Superfund, that's a federal government program.
Okay.
And so we work closely with our partners in Region 8, which is out of Denver.
Okay.
for implementation of the CERCLA program in the state of Utah. There's a part called what's called pre-remedial, when sites are first discovered, and we try to do as much of that as ourselves. It's been a great ground for project managers to learn how to sample sites and write up what they're finding, and then if the site's significant enough, it will progress to potentially being listed on the national priorities list.
Okay.
And that's the list that's of the most egregious sites around the country.
Sure.
We have about 25 of those in the state of Utah. About 13 of them are active.
When you say egregious, like things like that, there's things wrong with it.
Impacts to groundwater might affect drinking water systems, things like that.
Okay.
And the bar to get on that list is fairly low.
Okay.
So I can't say that Utah has the worst sites in the state, or in the nation.
Yeah.
But it leverages resources under the federal CERCLA program to address those kinds of problems.
And so then, between you and the government, you're working to try to fix those things.
Trying to remediate, clean it up,
Yeah.
return that property to some kind of beneficial reuse.
Okay.
First and foremost is protectiveness, right? Protectiveness of human health and the environment. And then if there's an opportunity for redevelopment, certainly that's a key component, because no one wants a site that just sits fenced and has no redeeming value at that point.
Sure, yeah.
So I have to put on that hat of looking down the road, the future, and try to find opportunities for redevelopment of those kinds of projects.
So is that places like where Geneva Steel used to be and stuff like that? Is that a place that would qualify for that?
Yeah, that one's different. That one's all under the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act. But the Ironton site in South Provo, which is also a former U.S. Steel site, that was one that could have been listed on the national priorities list, but that leveraged the opportunity to have them do it voluntarily under state oversight.
Okay.
And that's another piece of what I have in my division is we have the state's voluntary cleanup program.
Okay.
And then also what's called brownfields, which if we can take and preserve green fields by rehabilitating and redeveloping brownfields, then we're not giving up good ground and making it worse. We're actually taking bad ground, making it better, and utilizing it for purposes. And so the Ironton site in Provo was both a brownfields and a voluntary cleanup site.
Okay.
And so but it's very similar to what's going on in Geneva.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And so then there's different places across the state that you guys are working on an ongoing basis as far as trying to fix and make better. And then you're managing, obviously, new construction that's coming into places, too. What qualifies? So you have, I've heard in the news, this data center that might be coming and stuff like that. We have a couple, but that big one that they're talking about, the 40,000 acres or something. Do you guys have anything to do with those as far as checking the land ahead of time?
My division doesn't, typically. Those are high water users, so there's usually some water management, which would be under our Division of Water Quality.
Okay.
And
that doesn't fall under your area?
No, it falls under the umbrella of DEQ, but not necessarily in my
specifically.
area.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if there's projects that come in and ultimately they're managed poorly, and there are releases that aren't handled by some of the other environmental programs,
then
there's a chance it might become a Superfund site. We don't hope for that.
Sure.
We don't want
of course not. Yeah.
Or somebody could voluntarily clean it up under our oversight, and we would give them guidance and direction for that.
Yeah. So obviously Utah's a more Republican state, less government kind of thing, but obviously government has a place, right? We want government involved on certain things to make it better and stuff. How do you think Utah handles that balance of, hey, let's be involved, let's help make things better, right? But also, hey, let's try not to get in people's way too much kind of thing. How does... that's
a great question, great observation. We are a very conservative state. That sometimes works very well for us because then people will do things voluntarily to improve the situations that they either purchase or have contributed to or whatever. And our regulatory environment, at least from my perspective, and I can't speak for all regulatory programs, is the ethic in our division is we're always looking to see what can we do? What are the solutions that we can bring that are, one, going to be protective, but two, it's a real concern if you're a business that you don't want to be bankrupt over environmental concerns. So we work closely with our legislature.
Okay.
Right now we're in a huge initiative of permit review across the DEQ, and we're looking at what can we streamline, what do we need, absolutely maintain that level of protectiveness. And our executive director, our commissioner now, has said if there's things we need to go get, we'll do that. There's things that we can make it easier, then we need to eliminate those. But really, we're not going to reduce the standard of protectiveness. That's our goal. And I think the biggest thing we can do is educate people, right? There's a lot of fear of things. And I get it.
Sure.
I'm a parent. I want to look out for my kids.
Yeah.
And yet sometimes there may be a problem, but it may not have manifested itself to where we are critically in dire need of fixing that immediately.
Sure.
So education is one, and I like working with industry to say, hey, what can we do differently?
Sure.
What can we do better?
Sure. Yeah.
What can you do in your practices? And I can't drive what they do.
Oh, of course.
But I certainly can help them manage so the back end isn't as egregious as it potentially could be.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess going further in that, what things do you think Utah's doing right, and what things do you think we could improve on, I guess, as a state? Or so what? Yeah.
What are we doing right? I think we do a lot of things right here. I think number one is our philosophy in my division is we're always constantly looking to improve, right?
Okay.
So and that's a credit to the team that I have that
Sure.
work for me, is we're always looking at becoming more efficient,
Sure.
more cost effective, without losing that protectiveness that we're mandated to hold, right?
Yeah. No.
And so there's that. I think that's just the ethic of the people who live here and that come to work in something like DEQ. I think, and the governor has, I think, said this, and I've internalized this. I believe this. It's been my ethic since I started, is we want to have Utah decisions for Utah problems.
Okay.
We want to control as much as we can for that, so that it is not a burden on. There's an economic engine here that creates problems.
Yeah.
And we've got to balance that.
Yeah.
Not to the extent that we let go of protectiveness, but also recognizing that there's a part that we need to have.
Sure.
Our department mission statement is protecting and improving Utah's air, land, and water while supporting communities and growth statewide.
Okay.
And they don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
And on any given day in January and February, you look at the air quality and you're like, yeah, a little bleak today,
Yeah.
right? But it's far better now with the growth that we've experienced than what we had 50 years ago. Is it perfect? No. And I think we have dedicated staff in our division of air quality that are working on that.
Yeah.
And we have industry that's helping to work on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you go look outside, there are days you're like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be out there. There's some legitimacy to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think we're approaching it the right way, finding that balance, but also we're not losing sight of overall protectiveness.
Sure. Which is good, because again, you can't. Sure, if you want the best environment, just no people, no job, no company, right? But we live in a world we're supposed to use the earth, right? We're supposed to. It's there for our use, right? But let's use it wisely, right?
I'm a big advocate for stewardship, right?
Yeah.
And we all have a place in that. We all have a part to do there.
Yeah.
And I try to bring that ethic into my own life, trip chaining and things like that.
Sure.
I don't work for the Division of Air Quality, but I breathe the air just like everybody else does.
Correct.
So what can I do? What can I personally do?
Yeah.
And that's a personal ethic that
Sure.
I think many people have.
Yeah.
And I think especially Utahns.
Yeah.
So I love this community. I love this state.
Yeah.
I have deep roots here. Even though I wasn't raised here.
Yeah. No, but you've been here a long time.
I have, but I've got ancestors that have been here for many generations.
Yeah.
So I have a vested interest in. I like to refer to it as Mother Utah.
Sure.
You know?
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. I like that. So then, what things do you think we're trying to improve on? What areas? So you see, obviously, your division 5-10 years down the road. What things are you working on to improve, to make things better here in Utah? Or what things would you like to see in that regard?
Continuing the trajectory that we're already on, reducing sources of pollution. Clearly, I'd love to see more viable recycling.
Yeah.
Personally.
Okay.
And that's a difficult challenge because that's a global kind of market. It's not just isolated here. And so that's a challenge.
Yeah. Because a lot of the recycling things have gone away, I guess, right?
Yeah, because there's not really a market for it.
Yeah,
right?
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just
the post-use market, and it's developing still.
Yeah.
And I'm not a recycling expert by any stretch of the imagination.
Sure.
But that's my understanding, is that there's really not an end post-use of recycled materials, which we've got to change that. We've got to change packaging. Those are things, not speaking in my duties as a DEQ guy.
Yes.
But just, man, sometimes I wonder, I have to open up all this to get to the one thing I bought.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's crazy. And with everything that now we buy online, everything's being shipped.
Yeah, so you have more
there's
boxes.
a lot of boxes, a lot of consumer waste.
Yeah.
Or recyclables.
Sure.
Well, what are we doing at work that's more kind of in line with that is, I think, our big emphasis on what we call brownfields and brownfields resources in helping communities. The corner gas station that's no longer in use, what can be done about that? Can that be put back into beneficial reuse as something, an amenity for the community, or some kind of productive tax roll amenity?
Sure.
And I take pride in what we built up in our voluntary cleanup program. I was the first coordinator of I'll just use VCP for short.
Sure.
And for Brownfields. And I have a guy who I hired many years ago, and he's just knocking it out of the park in terms of helping communities compete for grant funding, and then using that funding to identify and then plan for and then clean up properties that kind of have sat there without really any beneficial reuse. And now we're finding ways to help.
Good.
And so that, I think, continuing to do that around the state. And initially, rural Utah was a little reluctant. Oh, you're from the government.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I can tell you I'm here to help, but I know that in other areas of government, that probably hasn't seemed very true.
Fair enough.
And so just getting people educated on resources and decision making and what the vision, what this could become and how we could help with that has been a huge speed bump.
Yeah.
But this gentleman who works for me has done a marvelous job at reaching out to rural Utah. And it just takes one success, right?
Yeah.
We had successes up in, I want to say Brigham City, and then now all of a sudden other people are interested. Oh, okay. And so there are now Brownfields grants and projects going on statewide, which are helping all over the place.
Yeah.
So continuing that work, I think, is huge and helpful.
Yeah. And do you see a difference, so obviously you're state level and stuff like that, but you do work with the federal government. Do you see, so 16 years, so you've had several administrations, Democrat, Republican,
Yes.
Do you see differences in how they handle Utah over those periods of time?
I wouldn't say state specific. Utah, I see differences in just their priorities.
Okay.
And how they operate with what they perceive as needs that might be different than Utah's needs.
Sure, fair enough.
And so I don't know that we're definitely singled out, but I think certainly policy changes affect us.
Yes.
And it's been interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can almost predict what's going to happen.
Sure.
Those of us that have worked in it long enough.
Yeah.
And I'm not passing judgment on whether it's better or worse.
Sure.
I'm just saying that there are differences.
There are differences.
But I don't think Utah's singled out.
Okay.
We're a conservative state. I don't think we're singled out under a more liberal federal government.
Yeah.
Maybe some people feel that way.
Sure.
Because those policies are going to be very different than what we have here at home.
Yeah.
But I don't believe. I think Utah's a leader in many instances.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to be part of that.
Yeah.
No matter who's in office in Washington, D.C., there's been a lot of good things.
Yeah.
My team got an award from Vice President Gore for innovation at the Monticello mill site.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And this is how many years ago?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And hey, we're going to do our job.
Yeah.
And protect Utah as best we can.
Yeah.
Regardless of where we are now. Policy changes, we have to implement those.
Sure.
And that's harder.
Sure.
And that's real.
Yeah.
We do the best we can. Again, going back to that ethic of Utah solutions to Utah problems.
Yeah.
And let's do the right thing for the right reason and try to get the right outcome. I think those are universal principles that hopefully guide what we do.
Yeah.
Guides what I do.
Sure. And so what I'm hearing you saying is ultimately Utah does what they do and the path is kind of set, but sometimes maybe you have to veer a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right depending on who's the administration, but you're still the core protective of health and make protection of people and stuff like that. It stays the same generally, right?
That's our mission.
Yeah.
And the tools might differ a little bit. We might be a little more conservative in one instance and a little less conservative. We've got changing lead standards. We started doing lead cleanups. We'd set standards at a certain level of lead. Now EPA is pushing a different lead standard. Practically speaking, is there a huge difference between 400 parts per million and 200 parts per million? There is in a measurable way, but practically speaking, probably not.
Okay, sure.
Let's be as protective as we can.
Sure.
So those are the things that you navigate and you try to do your best, and those are the things that change with different administrations is policy and standards, and we know that's part of the game.
Sure.
I don't even like to refer to it as the game. We know that's part of what we do.
Yeah.
So you focus on what you do for Utah for the right reasons and for the right outcomes, and the rest will take care of itself.
Sure. I like that.
And I said, in my career, I had the opportunity to serve as the president of a national organization that involves all 50 states, 5 territories, and the District of Columbia.
Yeah.
And that was never on my radar to serve in that kind of capacity.
Sure.
I've been involved in this organization for many years, and the opportunity came, and I was asked if I'd consider running for office in that.
Yeah.
And this is not on my dance card.
Yeah.
And a gentleman from New Jersey said to me, he says, Brent, sometimes you need to think beyond yourself.
Sure.
Great lesson, right? So I pondered that, and I said, okay, I'll run for office.
Yeah.
And was fortunately elected,
Yeah.
which gave me access to the headquarters of EPA and other environmental folks that are at pretty high level. Those are the policy setters.
Yeah.
And with our influence as a state organization, we had that opportunity to help influence that policy,
Yeah.
regardless of whether it's a Democrat administration or a Republican administration.
Yeah.
My goal when I was president of that association was I'm going to represent all 50 states, and not every state is the same.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes you have to walk that tightrope of, hey, we'd love to see this, but not everybody is in agreement with this. But what if we did this?
Yeah.
Something down the middle.
Yeah.
And that was a great privilege to serve in that capacity. And I thought it was great for Utah to have someone from, no one else is from Utah has ever
Yeah.
served as the president of this organization. And,
Yeah.
and not, I don't say that to brag. I hope
No.
that doesn't come across that way.
No.
But it goes back to your original question of changing administrations.
Yeah.
And I was there during a portion of the first Trump administration and also the Biden administration.
Yeah.
And we just did our best to work with the people.
Yeah.
The people are always great.
Yes.
And the policy and the directions that they get, sometimes that's a little harder.
Sure.
But you work together and try to reach understanding and figure out what's the best thing to do, and then bringing it home, we do what's best for our state of Utah.
Sure. Can I push on that a little bit, or talk about that? Because I think sometimes we live in a very polarized society, right? The left and the right, and people get mad at each other, and the other side's the devil, and different things like that, right? But what I'm hearing is, it sounds obviously these are just people, and you're working with people, and is sometimes what's my question here? It seems like sometimes we think politics is always, there's always all this bad stuff happening, stuff like that. But obviously you've worked in government for a long time. It sounds like a lot of times government is still largely made up of just good people trying to work and do their best. And yeah, they have different administrations that are in charge of them and stuff. And so maybe that's what gets the headlines. But at the end of the day, you just have good people working in there. Or give us some hope that government's not all messed up, right? Maybe that's my general question, right?
Well,
but
that's got a lot of premises built into that, Ryan.
fair enough. That's an off-the-cuff
think
question
if you
here.
have
But
good people trying to do the right thing for the right reason, and that sound like a broken record now, then I think that's the outcome that you'll get. Do I feel government's bloated? Yeah, of course I do.
Yeah.
At all levels.
Sure.
Personally.
Yeah.
And that's not an indictment of the people.
Yeah.
That's probably an indictment of the system and what we, as the people, have been willing to accept.
Sure, fair enough. Yeah.
And we carry a lot of weight as voters.
Yeah.
And I internalize that. And that's a lesson I learned as a youth, the power of the vote, right?
Yeah.
One vote.
Yeah.
And I have a story about that if you
Go ahead, let's hear it. Yeah, let's hear it.
And this was impressed upon me by my mother. My mother at BYU ran for, I think it was senior class president or something along those lines.
Sure.
And that's while my dad was dating her.
Okay.
And she always impressed upon us as kids the power of one vote. So she said, don't ever take lightly your responsibility to vote.
Yeah.
And she shared this story. She said she ran for senior class president and she lost by one vote.
Oh, no.
Come to find out, my father voted for the other person because he was worried that if my mom won, then she would have less time for him.
Sure.
So for him, it was a good reason.
Yeah, fair, yeah.
Her sister, who served as her campaign manager, didn't even bother to vote. Marilyn has this in the bag.
Yeah.
So she didn't vote. So think about the outcome had that been different.
Yes, yeah.
My mom would have won by one vote.
Yeah.
So she always said, don't ever underestimate the power of your vote.
Yeah.
One vote does make a difference.
Yeah.
And I've remembered that.
Yeah.
So I take that civic duty of voting. I don't think I've ever missed an election since I turned 18.
That's awesome.
Because I think that lesson was impressed upon me. And for something that was inconsequential, right? Student body president or class president.
Yeah. Not super important. Not doing a lot of things there. Yeah.
But in what runs our daily life,
yeah,
local, state, national elections,
yeah,
absolutely. It may not feel like it. And I know some people cast a non-vote as a protest vote. Vote.
Yeah.
You've got a responsibility and own it.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, you may not like the candidates and you're choosing from the lesser of two evils sometimes, but you got to choose, right? You got to choose. So
there have been times when I've written in good people that I knew they were never going to win because they were just in my circle of influence, but at least I exercised my vote to put somebody on the ballot.
Like that.
And whether or not, maybe someone would say, that's a cop-out. You should have just not voted, or you should have just voted party line or whatever. I don't like to do that.
Yeah.
I vote for the person
and
the principle rather than party.
Sure.
And yeah, I just think that was an important lesson that my mother taught me at a very young age, is
Yeah.
the power of the one.
Yeah. And obviously she ingrained that pretty well, because you've never missed a vote, you said, right? So that's good.
Yeah, I even voted absentee as a missionary.
Okay.
Which I was,
You even did that?
I was
That's
proud
awesome.
to do that.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I love
yeah.
that. Love that. That's awesome. So speaking of voting and stuff like that, so on a local level, so again, you're very involved in things. You've sat on the planning commission, right?
I did
Which is
serve.
not elected, right? Or is
It's not elected.
Yeah. Okay. It's appointed, right?
It's a citizen committee. It's appointed by the mayor
Okay.
and approved by the city council.
Okay.
And the role of the planning commission is as an advisory body to the city council
Okay.
under the umbrella of planning and zoning.
Okay.
There are things in code that refer to the planning commission that can make certain decisions and certain recommendations.
Sure.
And it's an opportunity for the public process to work out, right?
Sure.
And things come before the planning commission that are public, and there's an opportunity for people to come and voice their opinions, their perspectives, their desires.
Yeah.
And so, yes, it's not an elected body, but appointed with the approval of the city council.
Okay. And you served there for how long?
9.5 years. I served as an alternate for the first 6 months, and then I did three-year terms, which is the maximum you can do under current Lehi code. And
Okay.
yeah, that was never on my radar either. That was not a dance card thing that I had as a kid. Like, we'll get involved.
But what got you involved then? Why did you do
That's
it?
a great
then?
question.
I mean, because the time commitment alone is actually decent. It's a decent time commitment. It's not, you're not doing nothing there.
It did take time. There were some late meetings with my fellow planning commissioners as we deliberated some challenging issues, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you how I got into it. I got a phone call from then Mayor Bert Wilson.
Okay.
I'd never met Bert.
Yeah.
I didn't know him. I knew of him, right? 'Cause
Sure.
I was a member of the community.
Yeah.
And he called and said, hey, I'd like to see if you'd be interested in the Board of Adjustment,
Okay.
which no longer exists in Lehi. They've done away with that. They now have an administrative law judge process. And I said, Mr. Mayor, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
So he tried to explain it to me, and I said, let me think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And I had a friend, and I don't know why the mayor called me.
I was just going to say, how did he even know?
I
you,
don't
right?
know.
Yeah.
That's a great question. I don't know that I have the real
The
answer.
dead answer there. Okay. Fair enough.
I had a friend, though, who had served as the mayor of Alpine.
Okay.
And prior to that, he was on Alpine City Council. And prior to that, he was on Planning Commission.
Okay.
So I'm sure
maybe
Bert
some-
knew him,
Yeah.
maybe, and maybe said, I've got to find good people. I know a guy
Yeah.
that lives in Lehi.
Sure. Okay.
That's speculation on my part. I really don't know.
Sure.
I'd love to know. If Mayor Wilson's listening, I'd love to know where my name
Maybe
came
we need
from.
to have him on and we can find out. So
I did a little research, and I called my friend,
Yeah.
said, hey, tell me about your experience.
Yeah.
He said, oh, yeah, Board of Adjustment, they adjudicate planning commission decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Under certain things, you're limited by law what you can consider as a Board of Adjustment.
Sure.
And in Lehi, I think we met maybe 3 times a year.
Okay.
Whenever there was an appeal to a planning commission decision.
Okay.
It wasn't very often.
Sure.
And I did that for about 3 years. And that's how I got my feet wet.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd heard that they were going to do away with the Board of Adjustment. And I thought maybe I should look at planning commission.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the local service.
Yeah.
That even though it was limited, I actually enjoyed it. And that's what affects our lives mostly, right? Is what goes on in your local community.
Correct.
And I was seeing that with that Board of Adjustment process. And so I put an application in for Planning Commission and then was notified. And you have to interview. They interview you, and they meaning the
City Council?
the mayor and the head of the planning department.
Okay.
It's currently Kim Struthers. And so then your name is, if you're nominated by the mayor, it's placed on a city council agenda, and they consider that and then put you in. And for whatever reason, maybe they didn't know me, maybe they took a chance, I don't know.
Sure.
They allowed me to become an alternate.
Yeah.
And then after about 6 months, a couple of the commission members had left, so they appointed me to a full term, and then was reappointed 2 more times.
Okay.
Probably because I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Every time they would ask me, do you want to continue?
Yeah.
Only if you'll have me. If you want to go in a different direction, I'm good with that.
Sure.
Am I enjoying it? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I feel like I'm adding value? And I feel the same way with my other job, right?
Sure.
As soon as I feel I'm not adding value, I hope I have the self-awareness to say, time to let somebody else take this on.
Sure.
And so it turned out, I enjoyed it. I got to work with so many great people that I learned from. That the point where I was the longest tenured planning commissioner, I was still learning from those coming on and bringing their insights and their perspective. And I learned from the planning department, and I enjoyed it a lot. It was rewarding personally, as well as I'd like to think I helped make good decisions that affected this community. And I'm sure there are people that feel like I contributed to some bad decisions.
Sure,
That probably goes with the territory. But
whenever you are in a position like that, you're not going to make everyone happy, right? And you probably learned that with that job too, right? And maybe what would you want the public to know about some of those decisions? Is that sometimes where just on it, let's say a generic decision they didn't agree with, is there sometimes more information that people don't always know? Or what would you say?
That's where planning commission is a little different. There are some things that come before the planning commission that are already pre-decided, right? Okay. By code, it's a formality to come to the planning commission because it gives an opportunity for public input. Okay. But we can't vote against them, right? Okay. I guess we could because no one's forcing you to, but it opens up the city for potential litigation. Sure. Because we're limited in what we can actually
because the law says you can do this, and so you say no, then you're against the law, right?
Exactly.
Is that okay?
And so we had to uphold development code, and sure, there are things that probably go against. There's always two sides.
Of course.
And I think getting involved and just coming and being part of the public process, I think, is huge for anybody.
Sure.
Get educated, be a part of that, come and listen. Yeah. Do we have an opportunity to share our opinions at times and explain our votes? And when we have that discretion, there are things that are either legislative or administrative. If they're administrative, there's not much you can do. If they're legislative, then the Planning Commission has a little more latitude, right? Okay. And I would always weigh it out and what's good for this community. Sure. And when they bring code amendments, I'd weigh that out. Sure. Is it wordsmithed appropriately? Because words matter. Sure. And so that's the things that I would take all that very seriously. And you're right, it does take time. I don't know. I thought of it as, hey, I've already got a life of public service. Yeah. Why not serve my community? Yeah. So I don't know. I found value in it. I enjoyed it.
9 years. So anything stand out, like anything you're most proud of during that 9 years, or any stories that come to your mind from that 9 years?
Oh, there are a few, but I don't know that I want to share them in a public forum here.
Hey, come on, give us all. Let's give the dirt, the tea, whatever.
I'll just give some general things, right?
Fair enough.
If you read online, social media stuff, you come away wondering, really, do people really think the Planning Commission is in developers' pockets? And
sure.
They're not.
Yes.
I was lucky to get a bottle of water, and I did it because I seriously wanted to help the community.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And I think anybody who serves with that kind of time commitment, some use it as a stepping stone, city council, other elected offices. That was never my intention. Yeah. I did it because I was asked if I would be interested in serving. There was one time, and this one's more personal to me because it was about a gas station. Okay. And in my day job, I regulate gas stations.
Sure, yeah.
I regulate their systems of storing and dispensing fuel. I don't regulate where they're sited. Sure. That's code. That's development code. And there was a facility that wanted to come into a particular corner close to a residential area, and that's where these gas stations want to go. That's the convenience store.
Of course, yeah.
And if they're managed well, then you typically aren't going to get releases, but we always say, at least at work, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when that system might fail. But if the owner-operator is good and they're keeping track of things and doing upgrades as they should, then the risk is limited.
Sure.
Yeah, it's minimal. And one of the members of the community, as they were going out the door after and this is one where it was zoned for this. Yep. The property owner has the right to develop it within the zoning law. Sure. And so our hands were tied relative to it's not something we could stop. Sure. And so it was approved. And this one particular community member, as they were walking out, yelled over their shoulder about us being baby killers.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm like, wow, I can understand that sentiment. I really can.
Yeah.
But that's not what we felt we were doing. Yeah. We were upholding development code and the elected officials can then make their choice to stop putting that kind of facility in. And is it a risk? I don't know. As much risk as crossing the street when there's a car coming. I don't know. Yeah. Not to minimize their opinion.
Yeah, of course.
I respect that gentleman, and I can totally understand. Yeah. But that was one that stuck out in my mind that night. Was rather heated and and that accusation.
It probably hurt a little bit, especially given your job, right? Because you're already on that. You're like, no, this is what I do. I actually try to help these things. I can't and try to make sure this is happening. And maybe going back to your education comment too. Obviously, that's a flippant comment that he's going to the extreme of something. But I think educating people that like, okay, sure, there's always risk, but maybe not as much as sometimes people are thinking. Or that we're trying to do things to mitigate the risk.
You try, but then if there's a catastrophic failure, that's unfortunate.
Sure.
And personally, I guess if I had more regulatory authority on where things could go, that would be different.
Sure.
But we don't have that.
Yes.
Either at the state level or at the local level.
Sure.
And I totally get where that gentleman was coming from, though.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't know that the public knows that plan commissioners, we're citizens. We live in this community too.
Yeah.
And do we have differences of opinion even as commissioners? Absolutely.
Sure.
Some are more interested in seeing higher density in some places. Others would care to preserve open space.
Yeah.
And that's just it. There are property owners have rights to develop property and use it within that. Now, it's not absolute.
Yeah.
Some would argue they have an absolute right. I would argue against that.
Sure.
When you choose to live in a community that's subject to code and state law, you have given up absolute rights to the use of your property.
Sure.
I couldn't put a cemetery in my backyard.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And so, but if it's within code, decision's already been made.
Yeah.
But I totally get the perception. And so I don't know if that really bothered me that night.
Sure.
I just noted it as, okay, I get their frustration.
Yeah.
I understand that. I don't know. That's how I approach public services.
Yeah.
I try to understand it. There was a time when a certain large mining facility was proposed for the national priorities list.
Okay.
And the state, since it's a non-delegated program, we didn't have a lot of input into what's called the listing package, the data set that goes to make that proposal that has to be approved by OMB. It's a rulemaking. And when a site gets put on the national priorities list, it's a federal rulemaking.
Okay, interesting.
So I was the project manager from the state side, and we had a community meeting to talk about the listing. And of course, I'm not privy to the details because it hadn't been shared with the state. And I go to this public meeting, and my counterpart is not there, my counterpart from the federal government.
Yeah.
I think their flight was delayed or something. And the community where we were at, they had an environmental coordinator who I knew because we'd been working in their community doing projects. And the listing package had named certain neighborhoods by name, like Chapel Valley or Lehi Ranches or whatever we have in Pilgrim's Landing.
Yeah.
And so the listing package had named certain communities in the west part of Salt Lake Valley by name. Of course, I'd be concerned. You're stigmatizing my neighborhood by doing that. Instead of giving just an area description, they included the neighborhood
specifics.
names. Yeah. And as soon as I walked into that meeting, I could see the environmental person for the community turned and said, "Here's the guy with all the answers." And immediately this crowd surrounds me, and they're yelling at me.
Oh, sure.
And I'm like, what did I just walk into? And I didn't know what to do at first. I was fairly new in my position at the state. And so I just said, "Hey, help me understand. Hey, time out. What are your real concerns?" And little by little, finally, someone in the crowd says, "Let him talk." And I said, "Tell me what your frustrations are," because I went into this blind. Right? We hadn't seen what the EPA had prepared. I was just there to represent the state and answer questions from the state perspective. And so as they started bringing forth their issues, now I can understand better.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. If I haven't seen that listing package, but I agree with you. If that's what's in there, I'd be upset too. And so I hopefully was able to diffuse the situation a little bit by just being genuinely interested in their issues and their concerns and saying, what can we do? Let's see if we can figure out a way to overcome this problem at the time. But first I thought, I'm not getting out of here alive.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really think that. But it was pretty intense for a few minutes. Yeah.
But there's a good principle there, it sounds like. Obviously, you came in looking to really understand the people and listen to them and try to solve it together kind of things, right?
Yeah, I guess another way to say that is ignorance is bliss. But I wouldn't say that. I mean,
fair.
I wasn't sure what the issues were. I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this again as, I'm so good at my job. I'm just saying that's what it takes. And you alluded to this earlier with the polarization that's going on.
Yeah.
It's okay to disagree.
Yeah.
But we don't have to be mean about it. We don't have to be threatening.
Yeah.
Let's try to understand.
Yeah.
And certainly do what we can, whichever your agenda is, to push your agenda in an appropriate way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So speak to that. What did you find there on the local level with the Planning Commission? Obviously, I don't know if there was anybody that was ever like polar opposite of you every time. Maybe there was. But so how did you deal with your coworkers, per se, for 9 years, as far as dealing with people that obviously thought differently than you at some points?
I recognize that it's okay to think differently.
Okay.
I valued their input. Sometimes the lens I look through may not be the only lens.
Yeah.
And to hear their reasoning, and I was probably one of the quieter guys on the Planning Commission.
Sure.
I don't articulate myself very well, and so I would listen more than I would speak.
Yeah.
Because I learned.
Yeah.
If I'm speaking, I'm not learning.
Yeah, fair enough.
And so I would listen, and I learned so much from many of those people, those colleagues. And it's okay to feel like they have a different outlook for the community than I do. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Every now and then, if I felt strongly about something, I would raise why I was thinking the way I was.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get a chance to explain before you take a vote as a commission.
Yeah.
Other times, when maybe there's a surprise vote that came out of one of your colleagues, there's a chance to explain your vote after the fact, whether that's for your colleagues or for the public record.
Yeah.
I can't speak to that. For me, it was usually I wanted my colleagues to know, here's what I'm thinking.
Sure.
And if the conversation that we had or the deliberations that we had missed some key elements, then I felt like I should speak up.
Okay.
Hey, what about this?
Yeah.
And we had a chance to ask questions of the applicants who brought things to Planning Commission. And I try to use that to get as much information as we could, because you want the best information you can to make the best decision you can.
Yeah.
So, I don't know that I ever worried about differences. I think there were times when we'd like, oh, I noticed you voted no on that.
Yeah.
What's the real reason?
Yeah.
Or they would say that to me.
Sure.
Sometimes I was the lone no vote. Sometimes they were the lone no vote. Sometimes it was 3-2.
Yeah.
And I always was curious, because sometimes the comments and the deliberations led me to believe they're leaning one direction.
Yeah.
Not that it made a difference in how I was going to vote, but
Yeah.
I certainly wanted to know why.
Yeah.
And I think there's enough respect and collegiality in that group that people could explain that and not feel bad about it.
Yeah.
You know, don't apologize for a vote.
Yeah.
Now, there were times when I thought afterwards, maybe I missed the mark.
Sure.
I can't think of anything specific, but certainly you feel that way.
Yeah.
Because
You're not always getting it right.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Sure.
Yeah. And it's my perspective. And that's the beauty of this system. You've got 5 different commissioners with 5 different perspectives, but hopefully the same goal of what's best for the community. And that might take on different nuances because of those 5 perspectives.
Sure.
But I don't know that there's anybody who's looking to do anything malicious.
Yeah.
Just like I don't think there's really any elected officials who are trying to do anything malicious necessarily.
Sure.
But anyway, that's my perspective.
Speaking on the future of Lehi and different things like that, how do you feel Lehi's being run and the direction it's heading? Are you happy with kind of the way things are going as far as Lehi goes in general? Like,
The standard is happiness. I don't know that I can answer that question. We're in an area that's very desirable.
yeah.
I mean, when I moved into Lehi, we had 19,000 people? It was 2001.
Okay.
So 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And even then, as things like Eagle Mountain and Saratoga Springs were growing, it was creating difficulties on Main Street just to turn out of my community onto Main Street to get to the freeway.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating. I get it. That traffic pattern was horrible.
Yeah.
2100 North and Pioneer Crossing alleviated it for just a very short period of time,
Yeah.
but that also then opened up other avenues for growth.
Yes. Yeah. Made it so that they could grow more. There's
And now we're suffering in a larger scale the same problem we had on a minor scale.
Yeah.
I love this community, right? I love the agriculture aspect of this community. I hope we never lose sight of that.
Yeah.
And those roots. Speaking of roots and branches, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I like that feel.
Sure.
And yet I know there are others that it's not affordable.
Yeah.
That's a challenge.
Yeah.
Do I think government interference to change that is the way to go? I'd rather let the market work that out.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we're going to create additional challenges as we impose certain government regulations on certain things. Oh, you can't build there unless it's 12 units per acre or whatever.
Yeah.
Does that make it affordable? No, I think it artificially presses the price upward.
Sure.
Because now those are going to be just as desirable. And what's affordable, that's different for everybody.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So am I happy? I love this community. I'm happy living here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think those who are elected are doing the best they can.
Yeah.
There's a kind of a referendum, so to speak, with the
you
last
could say
election.
that. Yeah. Yep.
I don't know if I buy into that totally, but it seems to be that was what was the result. And I had a great respect for those who didn't win.
Yeah.
I have respect for those who put themselves out there and ran for office and did win.
Yeah.
I don't know many of the new council members very well, but I trust that they have the community's interests at heart.
Yeah.
And I'll continue to live as a citizen and volunteer to help continue to make this community better. But we do have real challenges. You know, I think we all know that. We all know what they are.
Yeah, we do.
And it comes with kind of the territory, and it comes with the period of time, and it comes with bleed over from other communities nearby.
Yeah.
Things that we can't control, but hopefully we can influence.
Yeah.
So I'm not moving. I love it here. My kids have had great school experiences. They've had great friends. We've made lifelong friends, and I never thought I would live in Utah.
Sure.
To be honest with you, I came every summer to visit relatives.
Yeah.
And when you come to college, maybe other people have an idea. I didn't know what I wanted to be.
Sure.
And then fell into that as we talked earlier. And I always figured I'd be somewhere else.
Yeah.
But here I am, and Utah's been very good to me and my family, and hopefully through what I've been able to serve in both at the state and the local level, I hope I've in some way contributed to Utah being a good place for more than just me.
Yeah. Well, and you're also teaching, right? Don't you teach a little bit too?
Oh, I do that, yeah.
That's what I say.
You're going to bring that up too?
You're a busy guy, right? Well, we don't have to talk a lot about that, but tell me what you're doing down there. And how long you been doing that for?
So I'm an adjunct faculty at Utah Valley University in the biology department, and I've been there it'll be 30 years this fall, or 31, fall of 1996.
Okay.
So I teach human anatomy labs
Okay.
to a lot of young people that want to go into the healthcare.
And so why anatomy, not geology?
Good question. Yeah, there's a whole story behind that too. So I periodically throughout my career, I've looked for opportunity to maybe change my career.
Okay.
I served as a project manager initially, and at some point I'm like, okay, I've learned everything I can learn.
Yeah, you want challenge maybe.
Yeah,
Is that
I'm not feeling challenged day to day.
Yeah.
And then I had an opportunity to get into management. So I did that. And that started the clock all over again with new challenges, new opportunities for growth.
Sure.
Which I embraced. And then I got to the point where, man, do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
Remember when I started in college, after I came back from my LDS mission, I studied zoology and
That's right.
geology. And the idea of zoology was maybe exploring the medical field.
Mm-hmm.
I have a brother who went on to become a doctor of podiatric medicine, and I thought maybe medicine is the route I should go. So I went back to school in the mid-90s,
Okay.
95.
Yeah.
I was single,
Okay.
hadn't met my wife yet.
Yeah.
And one of my hobbies was road biking, and my road bike partners had moved away.
Okay.
So I'm like, a peloton of one is not very fun.
Sure. Yes. Yes, that is true.
So that kind of went away, and I had time on my hands, and I thought, what should I do?
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, where could I meet potential
Sure.
young women?
Yeah,
right?
of course. Yeah, you're looking to get married still.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was still looking for that.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'll go back to school.
Yeah.
If I were to go to BYU, it was going to cost me a fortune because I had already done a graduate degree there, and it's not going to be cheap.
Yeah.
Utah Valley, which I think at the time was Utah Valley Community College.
Sure. UVSC.
Or UVCC, then became UVSC,
yeah,
and then
okay.
UVU.
Yeah.
And so I took an anatomy class. So one class I always wanted to take at BYU and never did. And I took a bunch of classes that I'd never been able to work into my schedule, but now I had a chance.
Yeah.
So I took anatomy and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Saw the value, and not just as a stepping stone towards some other educational pursuit, but just as an organism, as a human being.
Sure.
What makes us tick.
Yeah.
And then I volunteered to be a teaching assistant,
Okay.
which was going to help me remember it better. And also thought, okay, if I apply for medical schools, some volunteer hours probably goes a long way to look good.
Yeah.
So that was a little altruistic.
Sure.
And then over the summer, after I took the class and I volunteered one semester, and then over the summer I stayed in touch with the lab manager. He lamented, I've got to hire a new lab instructor. I said, I could do it.
Sure.
I taught at UVU when I was in grad school.
Yeah.
I taught physical science there. And he says, you probably could. You have a degree.
Yeah.
You have a master's degree.
Yeah.
So they hired me. They said, we'll give you one class.
Okay.
So I taught that class, and I was blessed. I had some extremely capable students, extremely well,
Yeah.
despite their instructor, right?
Yeah. Sure.
And so that just grew into the opportunity to just teach. And then ultimately I met my wife, and She's like, I don't think I want to wait around if you go to med school. I'm not really sold on taking organic chemistry.
Sure.
And I had opportunities at work that changed my outlook a little bit.
Yeah.
But then I just continued to teach, and because I enjoy teaching. I love when the light goes on for somebody.
Yeah.
And that aha moment.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen all the time, but that's rewarding.
Sure.
If I can be a guide to that.
Yeah.
And see that in someone's life, I get it now.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now go teach somebody else.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. Yeah.
So that's how I got into it, and I've just stayed. I don't know. Change is hard, so if I leave, that's just something I got to manage in my own life, and so why leave?
Sure. But 20 plus years then?
30.
30 years. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting to the point where it's...
That's a long time. And
yeah,
that's a long time.
Yeah, it is. It's like a second career.
Yeah, it really is, actually, when you think about it, because you've been doing it for a long time. Obviously, maybe not the amount of hours, but you're still... and I love that it's something totally different. I think that challenge of something new, because a lot of times, especially the midlife crisis sometimes happens for people where it's, okay, what am I doing? But I think it's just, a lot of times we just want to challenge, or we just want to keep progressing. I think sometimes we master whatever. I know personally, I guess, with my own job, it's okay, I've gotten really good at this, I'm good. I don't necessarily want to pivot out of it because I have a business growing here, but I wouldn't mind taking on new things or doing...
Sure.
Because I want to challenge again.
Absolutely.
Because without a challenge, it's just, sure, you make money, but there's more than life than money.
It gets a little static.
It gets a little static, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I said I could do it, and they said, okay, we'll give you one class, and then here I am 30 years later. And
still doing the same class.
Yeah, and it ebbs and flows. There's some semesters where I'm like, I just can't do this anymore.
Sure.
The student approach is very different now than it was 30 years ago. And I don't know, I had colleagues at UVU that have said, oh, it's tied to the public school system. I don't know if that's necessarily true. It just might be a generational thing.
Sure.
I don't know. It's just sometimes harder. But this last semester that we just completed, I had 3 great classes of kids. Mm-hmm. It's like having a first child, and that's the perfect baby.
Sure.
And then you're tricked into having another one.
Sure.
Right? I feel like, because I've said that this was going to be my last semester.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, man, I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was a good semester.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I haven't had one of those in a few semesters.
Sure.
And so I told the lab manager, I said, now don't make a decision yet.
Yeah.
Check with me in the summer. My mind might change, but
sure.
I'm taking it one semester at a time.
Okay.
And so I'm like, if I could come back and have another experience like this semester, I could keep doing this indefinitely. But that doesn't always happen.
Sure. That's good, because you said students have changed over 30 years. Some things in a positive way, some things in a negative way, kind of thing?
There's still some that are just great students.
Sure.
They're dedicated. They sacrifice time and effort.
You really want to learn.
There are many that are just like, tell me what I need to know to just get an A.
Sure.
Here's a textbook.
Yeah.
And the human body, it's pretty complex. You don't have to know everything perfectly, but you need to put in some effort.
Yeah.
And it's just frustrating to see kids that just aren't willing to try.
Sure.
And I don't know, they challenge you in a different way.
Sure.
Not intellectually, but more just in an entitled way.
Sure.
I don't need that.
Yeah, yeah, the entitled's part. It's hard. I think that's one of the things as a teacher is you enjoy getting that light turned on in people where they're learning things. And so if somebody's ambivalent and doesn't care, then that doesn't really, it's not something you want to do, I guess.
Yes.
It's harder. But
when you go to work there and they're interested and they're eager, I get it, it's hard.
Sure.
It's a challenging course. But then that moment when it clicks, or they come to you and say, what can I do differently? And
Sure.
I'm like, tell me what you've been doing.
Sure.
Because I don't all the other hours other than the 2 I have you every Friday in class.
Yeah.
And I had a student that was not doing very well.
Yeah.
This was many years ago, and they came to me and said, what can I do differently? And I said, tell me what you're doing. So they explained it, and I said, okay. But really it had focused around an interpersonal relationship that was happening outside of class. On again, off again, significant other kind of a thing.
Sure.
And they assured me that's over. We're broke up. It's not going to happen. I'm like, are you sure? Because if that's what you're identifying, I think you're probably more savvy to what's going on than I am.
Yeah.
And they said, no, that's that. So I said, let me tell you what I've noticed. I've noticed in class that you hang back. You're studying with a group of students that aren't really studying very hard.
Yeah.
If you're serious about making changes, you need to find additional members of a study group. Go find. And this person said, do you think they'd let me? And I said, you need to assure them that you're going to be a contributor.
Sure.
And not just sit back and let them do all the work and you glean from that.
Yeah.
And so I watched this individual. I watched them that day. They went to another group of students studying and asked if they could participate. And the beautiful thing is here, people are always accepting, join us.
Yeah.
And I watched them become slowly more engaged in their own learning process and contributing to the learning of others, that this person turned around what was going to be probably a failing grade to a highly successful grade at the end of the semester. And they did it in a short period of time.
That's awesome.
So it doesn't take a lot, but once the desire is there and once they get a little bit of guidance and the commitment from within, okay, I'm going to take what I was told and implement that. That was very gratifying. And I'll never forget that person. I probably can't remember their name right now, but I'll never forget that experience because they came, they genuinely wanted to know. I asked them some questions. They responded. Are we there yet? And then, wow, watch them implement that and then see what their final exam score was. That's the gratifying part of teaching.
Yeah, it actually, you got to see them go from, I love that. I love that story. So speaking of youth and different things, obviously you're a father too, right? Tell me what, like obviously you have a big role in a lot of different things, right? You're very focused on helping the state, the city, youth at the thing. I think your time says something about what you value, which is really trying to improve the world around you. Why do you do that? And what kind of world are you trying to make for your kids in here?
I don't know that I've really thought about that, Ryan. That's putting a lot of pressure on me. I think I have found value in what I've been doing. I don't know that my intentions always have been that. As you mentioned earlier, my bread and butter, I have to support some, you know.
Yeah, you have to make a living.
I had to get a job. I mean, I didn't grow up independently wealthy. You know?
Most of us don't.
I feel like I grew up poor. Stable, but poor. And the one job, initially, it was, okay, I've got to provide for myself. And then ultimately, hopefully, a family. I look at that UVU gig as a hobby job. Not really a hobby necessarily, but people ask me, hey, what are your hobbies? And I'm like, I teach on Fridays. You know? And that, I think, has added value to my life more so than me adding value to someone else's life. However, if I see that I've added value, that's rewarding. But I think initially I took that on because, one, I wanted to learn anatomy even better, and you learn things better when you teach it. And then it just became, I actually enjoy this. I joke around. My dad was a high school teacher, so maybe it's genetic. I don't know. By the time he reached the end of his career, he was ready to be done. I understand that now. You know?
You've been doing it for 30 years.
And then the planning commission thing, which just fell into my lap, I never had envisioned anything like that. That just became extremely rewarding on a community level. Say, hey, I had a hand in maybe making this better. And every now and then I'm reminded of, that was probably a mistake we made. Not that there are many of those. I don't think there are. Because there's so many checks and balances, right? But, I don't know that my whole life is as altruistic as that. But certainly I can look back and I get amazed with wonder that I've been blessed with opportunities. Not for anything that I sought out, just things that came my way. And hopefully I've embraced those and produced something that's beyond myself. But I can't say that in the moment I was always thinking that. Let's produce something beyond myself. Sometimes it was very selfish. I think I want to teach this class. Oh, yeah, I'll be a planning commissioner? I don't even know what that is, but hey, they're calling me commissioner?
I like that. Sounds great. Sounds great.
I still get taken aback even when someone calls me Mr. Everett. I'm like, that's my dad. I'm 65. And I'm like, I still think that's my father. But I don't know if that answered the premise of your question or not. But
it does. And I think you're getting to I think a lot of times life takes us in certain directions. Obviously, I believe in God and different things where I think he's maybe guiding you in some ways. And so maybe you're saying, hey, I'm not as altruistic as you're making me sound. Maybe, or maybe not, but maybe. I think in the sense that like maybe your heart, God's saying, hey, Brent, I know what you like to do. I know what you enjoy, and I'm going to take that and make more of your life, I guess, than maybe you thought.
Well, that thought. I hope that's what has happened. Sometimes I think I'm running from something.
And
why do I try to stay busy? Maybe I'm trying to avoid some other things that I don't want to do. Cut the grass and fix the sprinkler heads, things like that. But, I love that thought. And I think there's some truth to that, right? I firmly believe that each of us living our lives are like a thread in a tapestry. And we get interwoven by the things we choose to do and also by a guiding hand somewhere else. And our lives interact. And at the end of the day, or at the end of life, we've been a contribution, one thread, what hopefully is a beautiful tapestry that stands as a legacy. And I firmly believe that. I don't believe that chance encounters are coincidence. I think there's a bigger, I may not understand it in that moment, but I think there's a bigger guiding force clearly. And that I just need to be open and ready to respond to those opportunities, impressions, whatever they might be.
Yeah.
And I'm not very good at that.
Sure. No, we don't always. Yeah, no. But again, if I look at your life and look at what you've done, a lot of good. And sure, maybe some of it was running from, but who knows? And actually, it doesn't matter. From what I can see, God takes people's lives and well, okay, sure, maybe this is part of it, but I know your heart and I know what you want, and so I'm going to make your life what would be better for it. So I don't know. I see a lot of good in what you've done, and some of the things that maybe have started off as a quote unquote hobby job, but 30 years later, obviously you've affected a lot of kids. You've done a lot there. So,
yeah, for good or for worse.
My guess is
but
for
you
better.
Bring up something that when I was a student at BYU,
yeah.
I ran into a fellow from my ward, my BYU ward.
Yeah.
And he was actually the Elders Quorum president.
Okay.
And made a career as a student to fly under the radar.
Sure,
right?
sure, yeah.
I don't want to be Elders Quorum president. I didn't aspire to any of that.
Yeah.
And I didn't even really want to talk to him because now he's going to know who I am, right?
Sure.
But he said something very interesting to me because I didn't know him, he didn't know me, and so I asked him what he was studying. He said, "Oh, I'm pre-physical therapy." Again, there's another one of those things like I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I'd never been to a physical therapist. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And I said, "What made you decide to go into that?"
Yeah.
And he said, "I've had some experiences where I needed to use a physical therapist." He says, "And then I prayed about what I should become." I'm like, holy crap. I have never even done that. Right?
Sure.
Do I have faith in God? Yes, I do. But did I ever think that I should ask the divine, what should I do with my life?
Yeah.
Never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say that I probably haven't asked a lot since then.
Sure.
But you bring up a good point, and maybe that is what has happened. I don't know. Maybe it's to help me to grow and become what God envisions me to become. Maybe it's for me to have touch points as a thread in a tapestry to help others. Maybe it's for someone to say, I don't want to be like him.
Yeah,
hey, there's an example. Yeah, I don't want to be like that guy.
Sure. I doubt that, but yeah. Sure.
I don't know. But anyway, that comes to mind when you brought that up, is I had no idea that I could ask for that divine guidance.
Sure.
And like I say, I probably haven't even since then
Sure.
very much. But just try to be the best. I had great parents that instilled in me, be a good person, be a good citizen, be a good disciple, be a good brother. And I can say, I failed at this, I failed at that, I failed at this, and failed at that. But the lesson is still underlying that I'm still trying.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So for good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah.
That's what you got in the chair today.
Yeah, yeah. And you're continuing to serve and continuing to, I know you do a lot, but you've served in different student wards and stuff like that too, right?
I have had that opportunity.
And and I'm guessing affected a lot of lives for the positive there too.
I don't know. I'd like to think so, but you never know. I mean, I've gotten a few letters that say just the opposite. So.
Sure.
And it racks my brain. What did I say? What did I do that they feel that strongly? And they felt like they needed to send me a letter.
Sure.
But the intent is to try to do good and try to follow God's hand. But certainly I can say those experiences have made me better. Yeah. So all is not lost. And if in that process someone else feels differently, then that breaks my heart. Yeah. That was never the intention. But anyway. Yeah. That's just me.
Sure. Hey, you're doing great. You're doing great. There's been a good conversation. Is there anything, we've covered a lot. Is there anything that we didn't cover, or any remaining stories or thoughts that you have as we conclude in here and stuff?
Oh, I don't know. No, you didn't ask me my favorite ice cream.
What is your favorite ice cream?
Yes.
Fair enough. No, I like that.
No, it's probably right now there's two. There's the chocolate mousse tracks from Winco.
Yep. Okay.
And then the Umpqua chocolate peanut butter. So anything with chocolate, anything with nuts.
Yeah.
Because I'm nuts, and so
I like it.
Not a huge fruity flavor kind of guy.
Yeah.
Strawberry, peach.
Yeah.
Someone else can enjoy that.
Yeah.
But that's all. I'm just a regular Joe.
Earnestly chocolate from you that we just tried that. They have it's like marshmallow caramel and some peanut butter cups, and that's pretty good too.
Oh yeah, that was named after Ernest L. Wilkinson, wasn't it?
Earnestly chocolate, maybe, I don't know. They have another one like the BYU president ice cream one. This one's one. I don't know if it's named after somebody, but it's good.
You mentioned that I have been close to greatness, but never really risen to greatness.
Sure.
So Shane Reese, the president of BYU.
Yeah.
I was a counselor in a bishopric in a ward that he was in as a student.
Oh, wow.
He and his wife-to-be were engaged at the time. So I don't know him well, but a great young man.
Yeah.
And I look at where he's at.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then the University of Utah.
Yeah.
He was one of my professors when I did an MBA program at Taylor Randall. I knew. So I'm like, man, I know presidents of major universities.
Yeah.
Henry Eyring was president of BYU Idaho.
Yep.
he was a classmate of mine at BYU.
Yeah.
I came so close.
Hey,
no.
You got to rub shoulders with some really good people, and they got to rub shoulders with some really good people too. You bring up a good point. Most of us are very ordinary, and most of us don't ever rise to a title that says the world says you're important. But I think what you're showing is a lifetime of service, Brent, where you've done. And service is broad, right? Sometimes we work and we make money for service. But you're doing a good profession. You're doing good things. And sure, on some of these you're making money, but you're doing a lot of good in the world. And I think that's kind of part of the reason I like doing this podcast is because most of us are ordinary people and we're never going to rise to the ranks of that great title that you're talking about. But these are people that rub shoulders with, and probably they felt you were their equal too. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I
don't know.
My point is, we're all doing a lot of good, but most of us aren't known beyond our own little circle of influence.
And I'm okay with that, right?
Yeah. I think most of us are actually. None of us need.
Yeah.
You know, my daughters played lacrosse, and they said that with defense, they were mostly on defense, and the only time defense even gets noticed is when they're not doing a good job, when they get scored on and stuff. Offense gets noticed all the time. They're scoring, they're doing the stuff, but defense, it's only if they don't do their job sometimes. And so I think a lot of us are in that defense position where we're like, we just do our job and nobody notices. When you're doing your job, nobody notices you really, because things are just, that's how it's supposed to be. And I think that's okay. Again, most of us are in that position where we're just doing our job and trying to make the world better. But yeah, we won't be known outside of our little circle.
Yeah, I'm an introvert, and so I'm good with being Mr. Inconspicuous, right?
Sure.
As long as I can maintain what's valuable to me, which is try to be my best to be a good person. And I fail at that, right? I'm sure there's many people who are like, that guy is an idiot. And he said an unkind word at one time. And
sure.
You only heard it the one time?
Sure.
You count yourself lucky.
Fair enough.
There's been a lot said.
Sure.
But yeah, that's why when you asked me to come on here, I'm like, I'm nobody.
Sure, yeah.
I'm a guy that's doing his job. And
yep.
I really don't have anything extraordinary to share or whatever, but if it gives hope to the other ordinary Joes out there that you can be ordinary and live a good life, then maybe that's a good thing.
Yep.
And I guess living a good life, that's for someone else's judgment. That's
sure.
Not my judgment. Maybe my kids at my wake will probably have some terrible stories to tell. I don't know.
They might have mostly good stories, though, I'm guessing. So we're all doing our best. So anyhow, Brent, thank you. Thank you for coming on. Thanks for talking to me, and appreciate you, and appreciate all you've done for the state and for the city and for your family and for lots of youth. I think if you measure by effect, I think there's a lot of people that could say thank you, and some that maybe write you a letter that says not thank you. When you're in the ring, you're doing your best, and so it is what it is. But anyhow, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the time.
Thank you for joining us on Roots and Branches of Lehi. I hope today's story helped you feel a little more connected to the people who make up our community. Remember, every person here has a unique story, and together, we're what makes Lehi feel like home. If you know someone who would be a great fit for this podcast, please fill out the form in the show notes so we can reach out and schedule an interview. We'd love to hear from you. A big thank you to our sponsors, the Work Harding Home Mortgage Team and Play Harding Nightly Vacation Rentals, for supporting this show and helping us bring our community closer together. Until next time, keep growing those roots and reaching out to your branches. Take care.